record na rin tayo. So yun na, yung capital market, no, we have the money market and the capital market. So for the money market, like what I said, treasury bill, commercial papers, then you have the negotiable certificate of deposit. Now when you see negotiable certificate of deposit, this one is different from the time deposit, because in the certificate of negotiable deposit, from the word negotiable, you can negotiate the interest rate, no? And they are offered by banks. But the amount involved here is, of course, higher. And the interest rate or the return to the investor is also higher. Huh? Then you have also the repos, repurchase agreement. You also have the reverse repurchase agreement. Then when it comes to capital market, like what I mentioned also a while ago, meron tayong tinatawag na primary and secondary market. So if you would like to, let's say you are the corporation and you would like to raise money for certain projects, then you can issue stocks or you can issue bonds, no, in the primary market. But you have to seek the help of the investment house, no, because they are the ones to market the financial security issues of the companies, no, or corporations. So you can issue bonds, you can issue stocks, no, in the primary market. But once you bought them in the primary market, and then you would like to sell them, then you can sell them in the secondary market. So here in the Philippines, we have the Philippine Stock Exchange, no? So ipakita ko siguro sa inyo na konti yung Philippine Stock Exchange na yon. Okay, so dyan tayo, no? So Philippine Stock Exchange yan. But of course, this is the one that regulates, no, all the stock brokerage here in the country. But you can look for the brokers, no, brokers offering the buying and selling of stocks. So actually, the number one stock brokerage here in the country is Call, no, yung Call Financial natin kung tawagin, no. But there are many actually stock brokerages here in the here in the country. So one of them is yung RCBC Securities, no, AB Capital. Actually, I transact with RCBC Securities and AB Capital, no. I have accounts with them. Tapos meron tayong DPI Securities, Citysec, no, Abacus, no, marami mga stock brokerage companies sa atin. If you want to buy and sell the stocks, no. Actually, magandang return sa stocks, but if you chose yung medyo hindi magandang stock, then that is also a source of loss for the money. But once you able to choose, no, the right stock, the return is actually a lot more than the income or the return given by banks. No, kaya lang, in terms of risk, syempre, yung stocks, more risky siya, no? But for example, itong nakaraan lang, no, the latest IPO that we had was the Aldi, no, Aldi. Yung Aldi is the one owned by Manny Villar, no? So it's a market, small parang grocery store siya kung tutusin. Parang katulad ng mga 7-Eleven, yung mga ganyan, yung mga small stalls na ganun lang. It was offered in the market at 60 cents per share. Then when it was listed, no, in the market, it went up to 0.90 kagad. So just imagine the return, it's already 50%, no? So dito makikita natin, tignan natin yung ticker, no? Ayoko ipakita yung account ko eh. Makikita niyo yung pera ko doon. Makikita niyo eh. But yun na nga, ito yung iba. No, yan, may makikita kayong ticker, no? Tapos nandito yung mga most active stocks, for example. Nababasa niyo ba, class?
Yes,
Nakikita
sir.
niyo? Ayan, ito, no? Yung mga stocks.
Yes.
And these are the stock codes, no? So for example, itong ICT, this is one owned by the, I think by the Aboitiz, ano? Tapos ito, AEV, ayan, Aboitiz din to. So this one is International Container Terminal Services. So mataas na rin ang nilaki niya, no? Since the pandemic last year, ang laki ng tinaas. And actually yesterday, the stock market went up by as much as 1.97%. Now that is a large increase, no, in the stock market because I think the government lifted yung alert level natin to level 2, no? From level 4 yata tayo before, bigla naging level 2, no? So meaning the economy is becoming alive. So the reason why the stock market yesterday actually uh, surged, no, by 1.97%. Yan, no? But you can open an account, no, from the stock brokerage company. You just call them and then they will send you the application form. Kaya lang, you have to deposit, no, so that you can trade with them. So they are being paid on a commission basis. And now the trading actually is more on online. No? Hindi ko alam kung meron po yung traditional na tatawagan mo sila and then you will peg your buying or selling. Because before ganun ang ginagawa, no? Way back in the 1990s. At saka siguro mga early 2000, no? Kasi ako nung time na nag-start ako, that was in the 1990s, buying and selling ko, I have to call the broker. But right now it is online. Everything is online, no? But I do not know if they still offer that calling of the stockbrokers and then you buy from them and peg, no? Pero mas mabilis kasi pagka online. Mas mabilis. And then you have the investments, the third area of finance. So this one constrains decisions about stocks and bonds and include a number of activities. So one, you have the security analysis through the use of fundamental analysis and technical analysis. So when we say fundamental analysis, we're talking of financial statements. You're looking at the financial ratios, you're looking at the progress of the company, no? What are the possible activities of the company? So these are the fundamental analysis. You're trying to look at the value or the intrinsic value of the company. And when we say intrinsic value, we're looking for the true value of the prices of the stocks, not based on the performance of the company. And then you have the technical analysis. So when you see technical analysis, we're talking of yung graphs, no? Chartists, no? Pinag-usapan natin dito yung mga candlestick, no? Mga Fibonacci, no? So marami, RSI. So you're looking more on the graphs because you believe that the price of the stock was already discounted in that chart, no? So example naman yan, tignan natin. Ito. No, ito ay nasa IQ option. No, IQ option naman to. No? Pinull out ko yung ito IQ option naman. Ito yung malit yung account kasi pinull out ko yung pera ko dito dahil ang laki ng ano nila dito. Ang laki nila ng commission nila dito actually, no? So the reason why naiwan na lang yung 4,000. But I have my account with EB Capital, RCBC at saka eToro, no? Because it is better to transact with them. And by the way, this one is a foreign company, no? Foreign company to eh. So, sandali, nag-message si Sel. Sandali lang ha. Yeah, mga foreign companies nga yan, no? You would see Nvidia, Bitcoin, pati Bitcoin nandyan, no? So, ito yung tinatawag natin na chart. So, they are looking at the chart or graph, no? So, for example, meron tayong in mga indicators, for example, so let's see yung mga moving average. Ayan. No? So, yan. So, ito yung makikita nyo for the trend. So, this is a 20 moving average. So, how do you indicate if it is going to up or going down? So, they're saying that when the bar, ito candlestick kasi by the way to class, no? This is an example of the candlestick. So, the analysts are saying that once this bar, no, exceeded this 20 moving average, chances are the price of the stock will go up. No? But if they cross below this line, chances are the price of the stock will go down. No, but they are not just using the 20. No, sometimes they're using yung tatlo. Tatlong ginagamit. Madalas ganito class. So ito ay 20. Another one is 50. And dapat binago ko pala yung kulay, no? One is 50. And let's say this one is color green, no? Hindi nagbago. Ayan, no? So yan, minsan tinitingnan nilang ganyan pagka nagko-cross pa sila. Ha? So since this is the 20 and this one is the 50, tama ba ako? Ano ba yung 50 ginawa ko? Hindi lang ha, hindi ko maalala kung ano yung ginawa ko 50. Magawin na lang natin. Normal na ginagawa ko. 20 and the 50. Apply. Okay, so mga ganyan na lang, bale. Tapos the other one, no, the standard actually, they are doing yung 20, 50, and 100 moving average. Then the last one, 100. So let's see the violet one, no? Ayan. So this is the 100. This one, I think, is the 50, and this one is the 20. So you can see that the bars are below the 3 moving averages. So ibig sabihin nun, the trend is more on downward. No? But this one is now breaking the 20 moving average. So sabi nila, no, in the technical analysis, there's a chance that it can break out. But normally, for you to look an uptrend or a downtrend, the green one or the 20 moving averages should be higher. No? Ibig sabihin yung line nito nandun dapat sa banda rito. And then the 50 is followed after the green. And then the violet is on the trade. So at lalabas 20, 50, and 100 yung line. So for you to get the uptrend. But this one, since the green one, the 20 moving average, and the 50 moving average, and the 100 moving average are in this pattern, so ibig sabihin yan, downward naman siya. No? So that is more on the technical analysis. Okay? Kaya lang di rin part natin ng lesson natin yan. Ina-explain ko lang, no? At so na yun. Okay, so yun ang difference ng technical analysis and the fundamental analysis. Then we have the portfolio theory that deals with the best structure of combination of stocks and bonds with the lowest risk. So when we say best structure, we're talking of the liabilities and equity. So what is the best combinations of liabilities and the equity. Kasi they believe that the best combination of the capital structure or the best combinations of liabilities and equity will increase the price of the stock of the company. So when we say combination, we're talking of something like this, no? Pakita natin sa Excel naman siya. Ay, lumabas ng Excel. Naintindihan niyo ba yung mga sinasabi ko? Ha?
Yes po, sir.
Kasi very technical tayo kasi talagang accounting finance to, no? So let's say for the equation, no, we have the accounting equation which is assets equivalent to liabilities plus the equity. So yan yun, no? So this is the accounting equation. So actually this part, is your capital structure. So this is your capital structure. Now yung capital structure natin. So itong part na to. So that is the capital structure, the liabilities plus the equity. And they are the ones that finances the assets. So the combination that I'm saying is that maybe you can use 40% debt and then 60% equity. No, maaaring ganyan yung sinasabi nilang combination. Or maybe 60% debt, then 40% equity. No? Mga ganyan combination. Or maybe 50% liabilities, 50% equity. So there are combinations, no, for the capital structure. And they are saying that the best combination, no, for the liabilities and equity will maximize the price of the stock, which is the main objective in financial management. So we have to find for the proper capital structure or the optimal capital structure of the company. Because they're saying that it will help maximize the price of the stock. No? So yan yung sa portfolio theory na yan. And then we have the market analysis that deals with the issues of stocks and bonds if it is overvalued or undervalued at a given time. So how come overvalued or undervalued? Because there are different ways to compute for the price of the stock. No? Kasi meron tayong formula. So this one can be shown more in Word. Lagay natin sa Word naman ngayon. Okay, so nakikita niya. Ayan. So for the intrinsic value, for example, so we have the intrinsic value and the stock price, no? So intrinsic value. So when you see intrinsic value, this is actually based on the true value. Now they're saying the true value of the stock. But when you see stock price, this is the current market price. So when you see current market price, this is the price that you can see in the stock market. So for example, dito, no? Balik natin dun sa para maintindihan nyo, ha? So for example, this one. Nakikita nyo? Ha?
Yes po.
Readable ba? Readable? So for example, tingnan natin yung price dito niyo. Ayan, halimbawa rito. Nababasa nyo, class? So for example, dito si ICT, no? Makikita nyo. Okay, dito lagay natin. ICT. Ayan, mas okay yata to, no? So makikita nyo, for example, we have the last traded price, which is 187.13, the one highlighted. So that is already the current market price. So that is the amount being traded in the stock market. That was the last price, no, when it was closed yesterday, 187.13. So that is the current market price. Now, so this one, the current market price can be observed directly. It can be observed directly. So where can you see the stock market price? So maybe you can see them in the newspaper. So newspaper, ano ba yan? Newspaper, dun sa business page nila. Dun sa business page, no? Diyan makikita. Or you can see also in the, ano ba to? Or you can see them also in the website. O websites, pwede rin, no? Yan. So, dyan na makikita yung stock price ng company. So, which is the current market price. But when we say true value, no, you cannot directly observe them. This one, it can be directly observed, no, the stock price, because you can see them in the newspaper on the business page side, and then you can see them also in the websites, no? But for the intrinsic value, which is the true value of the stock, you cannot observe them directly. So therefore, you have to estimate them. You have to compute. So one example for the formula, the simple formula, is we have the P of O over D1 divided by RS. So ito yung isang formula na pwede makuha yung intrinsic value ng company. Now, what does it mean? When we say P of O, we are referring to the price of the stock at year 0. So actually ito ay subscript. Yung P of O is a subscript. D1 is a subscript din in 1. And then the S is also subscript. So ganyan yung formula. No? So the P of O is the price of the stock at year 0. And then the D1 is the dividend after 1 year. And then the RS is the required rate of return of the company. So therefore, for you to get the intrinsic value, you will determine that by estimating the intrinsic value or the true value of the stock by using this formula. Now, but actually, maraming formula yan. Hindi lang yan, no? Ito lang yung example na binigay ko. So, the reason why you cannot directly observe them, you have to compute for them. Unlike for the stock price, it can be observed. No, it can be read, no, in the newspaper or see them in the websites. Okay? So, the reason why it is difficult to determine the intrinsic value. Kasi you have to measure them, no? And then how can you determine if it is overvalued or undervalued? Yung pala dapat natin sabihin. So, balik tayo rito. So, let's say based on this formula, the price of the stock is, let's say based on your computation, this is the price of the stock based on this computation. But let's say on the price of the stock in the market, you can see that it is 15 pesos per share. So how can you tell if it is overvalued or undervalued? So based on this, 10 pesos per share, but the stock is selling in the market at 15, then you can see that this one is overvalued. Overvalued siya lalabas. Okay? Overvalued siya. Kasi based on our computation, the value of the stock is only 10. But based on the being observed, or what you can see in the stock price in the newspaper or website, it is 15 pesos per share. So meaning it is what? Overvalued. Huh? But what if, let's say this one is 10 pesos per share, and then this one is 5 pesos per share. So in this case, we can see that it is undervalued. No? Kasi ang price talaga ng stock ay 10 pesos. Pero it is selling in the market at 5 pesos per share. So it is undervalued. So what you will do is that to buy the stock at 5 pesos. No? So this one, you will try to avoid this because it is overvalued. Because chances are, this 15 pesos will go down to 10 pesos. So just imagine the downside. It is 50%. But what if this one, no, you bought that at 5, and then the possibility of going up to 10, then that is 100% increase or return. Diba? So many actually are doing that. One example is Warren Buffett. Now, if you know Warren Buffett is the best known for his strategy in valued stocks. No? Ano yan, investor siya. No? Batang-bata pa lang, nag-invest sa stock market. No? Kaya idol yan, no? Idol, kumbaga. And actually, he's more wealthy than Bill Gates, kung tutusin, no? Because several times, he donated his money sa mga projects niya, no? Philanthropist din siya. Several times. I think he already gave his fortune 2 or 3 times. No? And then, right now, he's still one of the wealthiest man on earth. Ay, hindi nawawala sa top 5 yan si Warren Buffett. And his company is Berkshire Hathaway at ang pangalan. Berkshire, I'm sure that it is Berkshire. And it is an investment house. No? So, they are just buying and selling stocks. So, syempre, when they buy the stocks, you become part owner of that company. And then we have the behavioral finance where the psychology of investing is examined. Because sometimes, no, yung investing is affected by emotions. So the reason why we have this behavioral finance, pinag-aaralan na yung psychology of investing. Okay, next, we have the firm's goal. So I mentioned a while ago that the objective is to maximize the price of the stock of the company. And that is really that true objective, no, under financial management, that the board of directors of the finance people should maximize the price of the stock of the stockholders. Okay, kaya naman lumalabas ng pinakamayayaman na tao, limbawa, sila Jeff Bezos, no, si Elon Musk. They are measured based on the stocks that they have, then multiplied by the price per share. No? Doon na determine yung kanilang wealth. And even here in the Philippines, si Manny Villar, who is the wealthiest person naman in the Philippines, before it was Henry C. But right now, it's Manny Villar. But there was an article about him that the main source, no, becoming the billionaire, because of that company also was yung price of the stock went up so high. No? The price of the stock was at 20 pesos before. Then it went up to as high as 600 pesos per share. The reason why he landed as one of the wealthiest man on earth, bale. No? And that was the first time he was listed in the Forbes billionaires because of that company, yung Haven na tinatawag. No? Alam mo ba anong company yung Haven? Haven is actually a cementerio. No? Cementerio yun. And it was established during the time of Duterte, no? Early years ni Duterte, 2016 yata yun, 2017, when the IPO was introduced, no, for the Haven. So ang tanong, why not maximize profit? No? Kasi for one, a change in profit is also a change in risk. No? So one of the reasons why accountants cannot measure the true profit of the company because of this risk. Kasi mga accountants minsan, like me, at tinitingnan lang namin ang bottom line without looking at the risk. No? I do not know with the other accountants, but me before, I was just looking at the net income. At sasabihin ko, dapat tumaas to ng ganito. Halimbawa, 1 million. Dapat patasin natin ng 1.5 million. No? But I'm not considering the risk. But when I started learning finance, sabi ko, an increase in income pala should be corresponded by an increase also in risk. So the reason why we also have a saying that the higher the risk, no, the higher the return. No? So ganun siya. So in finance, you always look at the risk. So for every increase in profit, there is a corresponding risk. And then, it fails to determine the timing of benefits. Bakit ganon? Kasi if we will compare, for example, A and B, this one is company A and then company B. And if you will see the return, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2.5, 3.5. So meron siyang return na 12 after 5 years. Then si B naman, you have 4, 3, 2, 2, 1. Not 12 pa rin after 5 years. But let's say the owner of A company and B company approaches you, for example, ikaw, Eunice, sino pipiliin mo dito sa dalawa kung sakali? Si A ba o si B? Eunice?
Sir, si B po.
Si B. Bakit si B?
Ay, wait, sir. No, sir, I'll go for A kasi pataas po siya.
Si A na ngayon.
Year 1 to 5.
Sigurado ka na ngayon, si A na.
Yes, pa.
Okay, so A. Kasi ang reason mo,
Pataas po siya.
pataas, okay. So let's have Madonna. Madonna, between A and B, which one are you going to choose?
As an investor, sir,
Oo, as an investor.
I'll go for B, sir. Kasi A sa si ma'am eh.
Ba't naman gano'n? gusto mo lang magkaiba kayo?
Oo, sir. Para magkaiba kami ng point of view, sir.
But what is the reason?
Ako, sir, as an investor, I'll go for A kasi yung first year, meron ka na agad na shares of 4 pesos. So that kung medyo lumaki na yung value ng money mo during the first year, pwede mo na siyang spread through the other market share. Meaning,
Okay.
by other stocks.
Okay. So, actually, the correct answer is B. The correct answer is B because of the time value of money. Dito, okay din tong A if the time frame of the company is not only 5 years. So let's say it will continue up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So maybe A is better. But the problem with this is that the constraint is that they will only exist for 5 years. So if they will exist for 5 years, then B would be better. Because you can recover the money at early years. Diba? Doon pala sa year 1 and year 2, malaki na yung naging return mo. And then you can use that excess to invest in other profitable activities. So between the two, B is better because of the timing of the benefits. Okay? Okay, Eunice. Naintindihan ba yun, Eunice?
Yes.
Okay. So next. Dyan, alam mo, pagka-accountant, albawa ako accountant. So hindi ko in-analyze yan. Let's say I do not know something about finance. I do not care kung A ba siya or B. Pareho lang naman 12 ang return. Diba? Accountant na ako. Diba? I do not care whether A or B is the company where I will invest to. As long as the return is the same, which is 12. But once we consider the timing of the benefits, actually B is better because of the early recovery or the payback. Diba? Mas maaga Mas maaga, syempre, mas maganda. Diba? Okay, next. Actually, ito yung proof lang. That is only the proof that that shows that B is better than A. If we get the time value or the present value of the cash inflows. So yung mga yan, no? But I forgot what I used, no? What rate? Parang 10% yata ang ginamit ko rito. Hindi ko maalala, no? But, ibang rate na ginamit ko? Wala eh. Hindi ko nagamit. But we have to get a rate or use a particular rate and then use them for both companies and then get the present value for each cash inflows. And then you will get the present value, no? And then get the sum, and we can see that B is better than A, no? So you get the difference between B of 9.22 and A of 8.26. So the difference would be the advantage of B. Because this time we already applied the time value of money. Okay, so another one is accounting profits cannot be measured accurately. How come it cannot be measured accurately? When in fact, in accounting, we are preparing the income statement or the statement of comprehensive income every year. Now, sometimes nga every month, or possible pa nga every day. Especially if the company is highly computerized, you can already prepare the statement of comprehensive income per day. And every day you would know how much you are earning. But the problem with this one is these profits are mere estimate. They are just mere estimate. Okay, so si Red Atienza nandito na. Hi, Red. Red, by the way, next week, we will start at around 8 o'clock. Now, Red, so today, siguro nakakalimutan mo lang because this is the first day, no? But Red, pwede ko bang malaman yung background mo muna? Nandiyan ka na ba, Red? Sige, mukhang wala pa siya ron. So accounting profits cannot be measured accurately, like what I said. They are mere estimates. No? Now, if you really would like to know the true profit of the company, then you have to stop the operations of the company. Stop or close the company. And then compute for the actual income from the time it started up to the time it closed. No? So yun ang talagang profit ng company. Lalabas, no? But if you are just preparing them continuously every year, but you do not know how many years the company will exist, then those are just estimate. Kasi a lot of companies actually, they are very profitable for so many years, then only to find out once they already closed, they are already bankrupt. No? Example lang natin sa tao. Of course, you know Michael Jackson. No? Kilala naman niyo si Michael Jackson, di ba? Sinong di nakakakilala sa kanya? Ha? Kilala mo ba yun, Eunice? Eunice?
Yes po.
Siyempre, no? Ako, lalo na, kilala ko yan. Kasi time namin yan, ha? Anyway, si Red lumabas bigla. Si Red ba taga Miriam? Ito.
Yes po, batchmates po kami, sir.
Batchmate mo rin siya. Okay. So, for example nga natin si Michael Jackson. Di ba before he died, he was very known for a very wealthy performer. Di ba? Prince of Pop nga yan eh. And actually, he's living like a prince or king. Di ba? Meron nga siyang malaking area, meron siya sariling zoo. Di ba? Meron siyang yung ano nga ba yung dreamland bang tawag doon sa kanyang property, di ba? So actually kahit hindi nga siya magtrabaho na just paying him the royalty, no, he still live a very luxurious life. No, but the problem was that he was spending more than what he earns. Yun yung naging problema siguro sa kanya. The reason why when he died, it was found out that Michael Jackson was already bankrupt. Pero hindi natin alam na bankrupt yan. Ako, nagulat din ako because of that news. But during his life, no, hindi ko akala na bankrupt siya because always, no, nasa list siya ng top performers eh. No, he's earning a lot of money. But when he died, it shows that he was bankrupt. So the same thing with company. So many companies actually were very profitable, for several years, and then suddenly it went bankrupt because there are accounting practices that made the company bankrupt. So the reason why mas magandang ma-measure yung profit ng isang company if they will be closed and then get or compute for the profits, no? Kasi meron kaming tinatawag na accrual sa accounting, accrual method in accounting. And accrual method in accounting is that even if, let's say you did not receive payment, cash payment, but because it was already rendered or the goods was already sold, then it should be considered an income. When in fact you did not receive any money from that, but it should be considered income. Ano nangyari doon? Wala kang pera, but it is an income. Okay, company ng CMP, ganyan na nangyari dyan, Camellia Homes. And many other companies actually, no? So, kaya yung accounting profits cannot be measured accurately, no? So, the reason why the main objective is more on the pricing of the stocks, no? Okay, so what is the intrinsic value? So, actually, ito, in-explain ko na sa inyo kanina, no? When you see intrinsic value, that is the true value of the stock. So, let's compare again, no? So, how do you determine the stock's intrinsic value and the stock's market price? So, actually, we're looking at these variables. Now, we're looking at the managerial actions, economic environment, the taxes, and political climate. But even if you have the same information or variables, no, the true investors that uses computations, looking at the true risk to compute for the stock's intrinsic value, they have different judgment. No, kahit na pare-pareho yung information nilang yan. But these true investors, they have different judgment actually in pricing the stock. No? But anyway, we are determining the stock's intrinsic value based on these factors. No? So that is the one used by the true investor. Now the perceived investor, no, they are the ones looking at the price of the stock in the market. But it is based on perception. The perceived investor. So they also look at these variables or information. And then they also have this perceived risk to determine now the stock's price. Yun ngayon ang problema, no? Nagkakaiba ngayon yung stock's intrinsic value and the stock's market price. But once these two are the same, then we can see that it is at market equilibrium. So meaning the intrinsic value is the same as the price of the stock. And we are seeing that the market is efficient. So you're not going to benefit too much, no, from the stock market if the market is efficient. So ganun siya, no? But these are the things that determines the managerial actions, economic environment, taxes, and political climate. But even then, if you have the same information, but because of the judgment, no, by different people, now they still differ when it comes to the stock's intrinsic value. Okay? Maliwanag ba yun? Maliwanag ba? Madonna, Eunice, you have any question? Or clarification?
Clear
Wala
naman po, sir.
Maganda yung magtatanong din kayo para mas maganda may interaction tayo Kasi tulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo, this subject is very technical. At ang daming libro. Hindi ka tulad pagka yun mga marketing. Minsan mas na-appreciate ko pa yung mga subject ko ng marketing, mga management, no? Kasi hindi mahirap explain actually, no? And I really appreciate these subjects, no? When I started teaching in the DBA program. Actually, hindi naman ako nagtuturo doon, no? Na parang reporting lang, and then I give some insights or inputs based on what I know. But of course, I'm reading also books. But I'm letting the students to report. And then I will just give cases and then we will discuss. And then I started appreciating yung mga marketing management, the management, economics, no? Because of these things. Kasi sa kanila, mabasa mo yung concepts, no? Parang natiintindihan mo na kagad. Hindi ka tulad ng mga tulad ng finance, no? Yung accounting. You have the concepts, you have the standards, then you have to analyze, then you have to apply, no? Although in management, marketing, ganyan, may application din siya, the concepts, and then you apply. But actually, the process is, I would say na siguro mas maiksi ang process. Unlike for the finance or accounting, naku, Diyos ko, napakahaba talaga. No? Kaya actually, kahit na accounting ako or finance person, so I'm learning a lot from my students from the MBA and DBA, no? Kasi I'm letting the students to discuss the topic, no? I will just do the syllabus and then assign them the topics. And then I do my readings, of course, no? Mapapaya naman ako pagka hindi ko rin alam yan. And like what I said, no? I started appreciating these topics, so in marketing management, no, yung mga marketing or management. Okay, role of finance managers. No? One is, of course, investments. And this is the most important actually, investing. No? Because that entails an outflow of resources with the expectations of benefit in the form of cash inflows in the near future. And investment actually, they should also innovate. No? Diba? Tulad sa marketing, no? We always have to innovate. Kaya ngayon sa cellphone, minsan nakakainis bumibili, di ba? Bibili ka ngayon, after 6 months, lumana yung cellphone mo because there is another brand. So that is innovation. And innovation is part of investing. And investing is very important because that sustains, no, the existence of the company. Kaya tingnan mo, ang daming companies din na nawala because they fail to innovate. Like for example, yung Nokia. Alam niyo ba yung Nokia class? Are you familiar with Nokia?
Yes po.
O, di ba yung Nokia na yan?
Yes, sir.
Ito yung, ano nga Nokia, Eunice? Di ba, ganito si Nokia, di ba? Yan
Opo.
si Nokia. Actually, way back in the 1990s at saka early 2000, hanggang ano yata yan, hanggang 2010 yata o 2012, Nokia was the most popular cellphone actually. Pagka nagkaroon ko ng Nokia nun, medyo tingin sa'yo mayaman, no? Kaya tingin sa akin nila nun, mayaman. Nung nasa bangko pa ako, first cellphone ko, Nokia. Ay yung 5110 yata yun. First na cellphone with 4 liners. Kaya lang may antenna pa siya, maliit. Maliit na lang. At saka yan yata yung cellphone na yung first na maliit na yung antenna. No? And then when I bought it, para mga 10,000, 15,000 way back in the 1990s. No? Kaya sabi kong ganun nung ako, sir, mahal-mahal yan. Sabi niya, pwedeng i-display. No? Pero ngayon, nakakayang i-display, di ba? But what is the problem actually with Nokia? Na they fail to innovate. Na they fail to what? To improve. Kaya nalagpasan siya ni Apple, di ba? Nalagpasan siya ni Huawei, no? Ni Samsung, no? Very few people are looking for Nokia now because they fail to innovate. And because of that failed to innovate, they fail to invest. Di ba? May mga nabasa na akong sa kanya, article about kay Nokia, and the main problem was really the failure to invest or to innovate. Kaya ngayon si Nokia, inaano na siya ngayon, no? Bumili na sa kanyang company. Although Nokia is still existing now, but very few are buying the product of Nokia in terms of cellphone. Kaya nga, gino-joke ito madalas eh. Dati Nokia siya, ngayon, ano na siya? Ayan, ganyan na siya. Nokita na siya ngayon. No? Yan ang joke ko madalas sa mga estudyante. Nokita. Kasi they fail to innovate. So investments is very important, especially if you will innovate. And like what I said, this is the most important part of financial management functions. No? Kasi tatlo lang naman ang functions natin sa financial management. One is investing, the other one is financing, and the last one is dividend policy. Ayaw na bumaba. Yan. The next, we have financing. No? So the financial managers find ways to finance the activities of the firm, and the finance manager must know where to outsource its funds. So short-term or long-term fund or equity financing has to be considered. It considers the best possible financing mix or capital structure of the company. So I mentioned to you a while ago the structure of the company. But when you have project, no, let's say you have project A, for example, project A, and let's say you need money, let's say 1 billion pesos, no? So what will be the source of financing? Now, 1 billion pesos. So maybe the source of financing would be borrowing. So that is in the form of funds. Okay, you will issue equity. So that is in the form of preferred stock or common stock. No? Or both actually. Di ba? Kaya nga, if you are regularly reading newspapers, no, you can see companies issuing bonds, no, issuing IPO, no, because they would like to raise money. Huh? So when you say an IPO or the initial public offering, that is for source of financing. Like for Aldi, di ba? Yung Aldi, kasi they are planning to expand. They plan to open many branches, no, all over the country. And then portion of which will be used to pay off their obligations. So to finance the project, so let's say project A nga na yun, they either make borrowing, no, through bonds or pwede rin naman na long-term borrowing from the banks, o kaya they can issue equity. No? So ganyan siya. And then the last one would be the dividend policy, no, for the functions. So if the company does not have any activities, they do not have investing activity, and then let's say they have the excess money and they have the capacity to pay dividends, no? Then they might as well pay dividends. But when you see dividend policy, these are the guidelines. No, these are the guidelines uh, that affects the dividend payment to the stockholders. And then also dividend policy affects the pricing of the stocks of the company. Because in the competition of the price of the stock, we have to consider the growth. No? Yung growth na tinatawag natin. So ano ba yung growth na tinatawag natin? Kasi when we say growth, which is denoted by G, but the formula for that is ROE, then you have 1 minus DPO. So yan yung formula natin. No? So ano yung ROE? That is the return on equity. Okay, para mas maliwanag, formula ang pakita natin, no? So net income all over return, no, tama. Then we have the equity. And then times the dividend payout, which is the dividends paid. All over net income. So this is the formula for the growth. Now, yan yung formula natin for the growth. And then these dividends paid, they have an impact when it comes to pricing of the stock. Because in the pricing of the stock, there is a formula na P of O is equivalent to D1, which is similar to the previously I showed you. Then we have the RS. Then we have minus G. So ganyan ang formula. Okay? So the pricing of the stock, when it comes to dividends, they also have an impact. Ito. No, kasi yung G, ginagamit natin dito. No? So ibig sabihin, the higher, baba ko na lang. So which means, that the higher the growth, meaning the lower the dividend payment, no, then this one gives you the highest price of the stock. So the reason why they have an impact, now because of this G. So the higher the growth, the higher the price of the stock. So yun ang nangyayari pala. Kaya dividend policy is also important because they have an impact when it comes to the pricing of the stock of the company. Okay, so yung ito binanggit ko na rin sa inyo kanina, no? Yung Vice President for the Finance. So primarily they are divided into two. One is the controllership and the treasurership. So for the controllership, this is more on the works of the accountants or the work of the accounting, no? But the treasurership is more on the finance side talaga, no? Okay, risk and return trade-off. So it is worthy to note that an increase in return is coupled by a corresponding increase of risk. So it cannot be expected that whatever financial decision is made will immediately favor the firm or individuals. So investment in stocks has always been a popular venue of parking excess cash because of its high return, no? But remember that there is a trade-off between this risk and return, no? So which means that the higher the risk, it provides you the higher the return. So at the same time, lower risk will provide you lower return. So just think of the risk involved. If you want to have higher return, then you must have or you must accept higher risk. Okay, yung mga firms of business organizations natin, ayan, yan sila. No, yung sole proprietorship, partnership, and the corporation. No? So when we see sole proprietorship, they only have one owner. Huh? Then partnership, you have two or more owners. So of course, in terms of thinking, yung decision making, yung raising of capitals, no, partnership is better than sole proprietorship, no. And then you have the corporation. So that is an artificial being created by operation of law, having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. So in corporation, actually, they have the right to sue and be sued, no? And then they can acquire properties and even obligations. Okay, so question or clarification?
Clear so far, sir. For me.
Okay, so wala What about Madonna and Red?
None, sir.
Red, okay ka lang, Red? Okay.
Yes po, sir. Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, so agency theory. So agency theory, this is the conflict of interest between the stockholders and the managers, no? And the primary agency relationships are those between stockholders and managers. So this one, the agency theory, because the let's say the owners, no, which is the principal and the agents are actually the finance managers or the board of directors. Sila yan mga yan, no? So sometimes they have conflicts. Why? Because the agent or the managers or the board of directors, they do not comply with the desire of the stockholders. And what is primarily the desire of the stockholders? Siyempre, to maximize the price of their stock. No? Kasi once they maximize the price of their stock, they can sell that stock, no, for a higher profit or higher capital gains. Diba? But sometimes these managers or the board of directors, they are not acting, no, in accordance to the will of the stockholders. So the reason why there is this agency theory or agency problem. Now, to eliminate this kind of problem, they are giving perks, no, to these people. So higher bonus, for example, o kaya promotion, o kaya yung mga profit, no, yung bonus pala, profit sharing, o kaya stock options, no, yung mga stock options, bibigyan sila. And then if let's say they did not, no, let's say conform with the desire of the stockholders, ay pwede silang tsugiin, no, talsik. The reason why most of the time the president, they only lasted for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, no, depending on the contract. They have contract with the company. Ha? Madalas gano'n pagka-president, di ba? May contract lang yan. And then the agency theory or agency problem does not only exist between the stockholders and the managers. They also exist between stockholders and the creditors. Now, because the creditors, for them to lend money, for example, to the company, no, to the company of the stockholders, now the creditors will put some restrictions. And what are the restrictions? One is yung declaration of dividends. No? They are not allowed to declare dividends. Then another one is to issue bonds. No? They are not allowed to borrow money again. And then accumulate capital assets. Because all of this entails cash outflow. And the creditors maybe they are afraid of that being paid. So the reason why they are putting restrictions. No? So yan yung sinasabi nating agency theory. And then these are the normal misconceptions of financial management. Now, they look at financial management as accounting. But actually, this is not accounting. No? Yun lang ang tingin nyo, accounting. But this is finance. Financial management is more on handling the resources of the company in terms of finance. No? But we are using the tools of accounting, like the financial statements. Most of the time, we use the financial statements to assess, no, the performance of the company. And then the other one is financial management. No, that financial management is mathematics or a review of mathematics. Again, that is very wrong. But we are using mathematics, no, for let's say making decisions. Like the one I gave you, no, the example in time value of money. So we are using them for decision making. Then the other one is financial management is a branch of statistics. Well, financial management is also using statistics. Why? Because every time we make an investment, now we have to measure the risk. Now we have to ascertain that we will be successful. And we would know the risk that we are facing. No? Parang katulad din yan eh. Halimbawa lang para ilagay natin sa context ng human being. So let's say kayo may nandiligaw kayo sa inyo, no? Sa dalawang lalaki. Yung isa gwapong-gwapo. Yung isa naman hindi naman siya gwapo, no? Pero between the two, let's say pinili mo yung mas gwapo, yung pinakagwapo na yun. Hindi ba may risk siya? Di ba? May risk yun. The same thing with us, guys. No, let's say meron kaming gustong babae, maganda yung isa naman hindi ganun kaganda. But let's say we chose the more pretty woman, and then syempre naging girlfriend namin yan, halimbawa, di ba yung risk nandoon? Kasi because of the attractiveness of that person to other people, so madalas siguro yung lalaki mapapaaway o kaya yung babae naman magsiselos palagi, di ba? So we know the risk involved when we accepted them. So the same thing with companies, no? For the projects, we also have to determine the risk involved before pursuing that particular project. So the reason why statistics are also used in financial management, because we have to measure the risk involved. Okay? Question or clarification? Question?
Clear po, sir.
Clear? Sige. Kung clear, so I will stop here and then we will continue with the next topic. So, pasensya na kayo kung ako yung nagdi-discuss, ha? Kasi medyo ganun talaga. But anyway, I will be assigning topics to you para siguro mag-report kayo, ha? And then I will give inputs, additional inputs and exercises for the topics. Siguro by later this afternoon or later this morning, I will assign the topics to be discussed, no? Okay lang ba sa inyo yan?
Yes po, sir.
Hindi
Yes,
ko
sir.
pa, Hindi pa lang na-upload yung mga topics pala natin, but I will mention them to you. So yung first two topics ako, then later on I will give to you the topics for next meeting. And then when it comes to stocks and bonds, ako magdi-discuss nun kasi very technical yun, you know. But for some of the topics, I will be assigning them to you. Okay? So break muna tayo ng mga 10 minutes. Okay lang? Kasi medyo sumasakit yung
Okay,
lalong.
sir.
10 minutes lang, ha? Okay, so it's 10:31. So be back at 10:41. Okay? Mag-off muna ako ng camera, ha?